Good evening and welcome to the next episode of Kensuke's Kingdom by Michael Morpurgo. Today we're going to finish off Chapter 1. This is Chapter 1C, Peggy Sue. Now, the other day, we learnt that Michael's dad had a plan to go to buy a boat and to go all around the world after him and Mum had lost their jobs. And the story starts today when they're on the boat called the Peggy Sue that Dad has just shown them around. And they were just having a cup of tea. Mum took a sip of tea and then nodded slowly. "All right," she said, and I saw that she was smiling. "Why not? Go ahead then. Buy the boat." "I already have," said my father. Of course, it was madness. They knew it, even I knew it, but it simply didn't matter. Thinking back, it must have been a kind of inspiration driven by desperation. Everyone warned us against it. Gran came visiting and stayed on board, and it was all quite ridiculous, she said. Reckless and irresponsible. She was full of doom and gloom. Icebergs, hurricanes, pirates, whales, supertankers, freak waves. She heaped horror upon horror, thinking to frighten me and so frighten off my mother and father. She succeeded in terrifying me all right, but I never showed it. What she didn't understand was that we three were already bound together now by a common lunacy. We were going, and nothing and no one could stop us. We were doing what people do in fairy tales. We were going off to seek adventure. To begin with, it all happened much as my father had planned it, except that the training took a lot longer. We soon learned that handling a 42-foot yacht was not just dinghy sailing in a bigger boat, but we were tutored by a whiskered old mariner from the yacht club called Bill Parker, or Barnacle Bill, as we called him, but not to his face, of course. He had been twice around Cape Horn and done 2 single-handed Atlantic Ocean crossings, and he'd been across the English Channel more times than you have hot dinners, my lad. To tell the truth, we none of us liked him very much. He was a hard taskmaster. He treated me and Stella Artois with equal disdain. To him, all animals and children were just a nuisance, and on board ship, nothing but a liability. So I kept out of his way as much as I could, and so did Stella. But to be fair to him, Barnacle Bill did know his business. By the time he had finished with us and my mother was given her certificate, we felt we could sail the Peggy Sue anywhere. He had inculcated in us a healthy respect for the sea, but at the same time, we were confident we could handle just about anything the sea could hurl at us. And there's Mum. Remember, Mum's the skipper. The agreement is that Mum's the skipper. That's what the agreement we made with Dad. Okay? Mind you, there were times that I was scared rigid. My father and I shared our terror together silently. You can't pretend, I learned, with a towering green wall of sea 20 feet high bearing down on you. We went down in troughs so deep we never thought we could possibly climb out again. But we did, and the more we rode our terror, rode the waves, the more we felt sure of ourselves and of the boat around us. My mother, though, never even showed the faintest tremor of fear. It was her and the Peggy Sue between them that saw us through our worst moments. She was seasick from time to time, and we never were, so that was something. We lived close, all of us, cheek by jowl. That means living very close together. And I soon discovered that parents were more than just parents. My father became my shipmate, my friend. We came to rely on each other. My mother, well, the truth is, and I admit it, I didn't know that she had it in her. I had always known she was gritty. That means tough. That she'd always keep on at a thing until she'd done it. but she worked night and day over her books and charts until she had mastered everything. She never stopped. True, she could be a bit of a tyrant if we didn't keep the boat shipshape, but neither my father nor I minded that much, though we pretended to. She was the skipper. She was going to take us round the world and back again. We had absolute confidence in her. We were proud of her. She was just brilliant. I have to say, the ship's boy and the first mate were pretty brilliant too on the winches, at the helm, and dabbed hands with the baked beans in the galley. I wonder if anybody could tell me what the galley means. I should be asking you in class. We were a great team. And so, on September the 10th, 1987, I know the date because I have the ship's log in front of me as I write, with every nook and cranny loaded with stores and provisions, we were at last ready to set sail on our grand adventure, our great odyssey. Gran was there to wave us off tearfully. In the end, she even wanted to come with us to visit Australia. She'd always wanted to see koalas in the wild. There were lots of our friends there too, including Barnacle Bill. Eddie Dodds came along with his father. He threw me a football as we cast off. "It's a lucky mascot," he shouted. When I looked down at it later, I saw he'd signed his name all over it like a World Cup star. Stella Artois barked her farewells at them, and at every boat we passed in the Solent. But as we were sailing out past the Isle of Wight, she felt strangely quiet. Maybe she sensed, as I did, there was no turning back now. This was not a dream. We were off round the world, and it was real, really real. And tomorrow we'll find out about the first stages of life on the ocean wave for Michael and his family. See you tomorrow.